As spring takes its hold and the sun begins to shine, it's not just the weather that starts to heat up, but also the video game releases. 2026 has been a good year so far, and we've already seen some modern classics with Resident Evil Requiem, Mugenics, and Pokemon Pokopia. March alone had a huge variety of titles, from the likes of a sprawling open world in Crimson Desert to the aforementioned life sim Pokemon Pokopia. April follows this trend as there seems to be a little something for everyone. I'm going to list out the most notable game releases in April. This is not every game, but the ones I think you should keep your eye on. If you want to support the channel, then please leave a like, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you don't like it, then leave a thumbs down and let me know how I can be better for you. With the housekeeping out the way, let's look at some video game releases. Kicking us off, we have one of many Konami releases this year, Darwin's Paradox. Playing as the titular character who just so happens to be an octopus, Darwin's Paradox is a puzzle platformer. Somehow torn from his peaceful ocean life, Darwin awakes in a junkyard and the aim is to get back to the sea. The platforming is unique in this game due to the nature of being an octopus. It looks like you can stick to any surface as well as blend into environments with camouflage. This platformer doesn't seem to have any combat scenarios, so think of it more like an Inside or Limbo. It certainly has an allure with its animated cartoony art style, and the developers have hinted at a grander scale mystery that ties into this game's story. There's even a playable demo right now which is themed around Metal Gear Solid if you want to try this game ahead of its release on April 2nd for Switch 2, PS5, Xbox Series and PC. A game that I feel has been around for ages but is yet to come out is Replaced. It was finally given a release date in March but was recently delayed to this new date in April. Given that the developers originate from an active war zone, I don't think anyone can complain. I for one am happy the developers took their time because it looks incredible. Replaced is described as a 2.5D cinematic action platformer, and let me tell you, these visuals are beautiful. The handcrafted pixel art really catches your attention. It is set in a dystopian cyberpunk alternate reality 1980s America. This retro-futuristic feel perfectly complements the pixel art style, and to go that extra step, it also has a synth-driven soundtrack. The combat looks great from the trailers, and those who have been hands-on with it have said that it is somewhat reminiscent of the Batman Arkham games. What this means is free-flowing combat in which you react to your enemy's movements and can build up chain attacks in group settings. The narrative sounds interesting too, and there has been promises of morally complex characters, including the protagonist we play as, which is an AI trapped in a human body. I can't wait to sink my teeth into this game when it releases on April 14th for Xbox and PC, and there is a Steam demo up now if you want to try it today. Another game that was delayed out of its initial March release date was Mouse PI for Hire. This title is a first-person boomer shooter drawing inspiration from the likes of Quake and Doom. What I imagine caught most people's eyes with this game, certainly mine anyway, was its rubber-hosed 1930s animation style. It fits perfectly with this setting of a noir detective thriller, whilst also providing a unique gameplay experience with it being the package of a first-person shooter. It offers weird and wonderful animations coupled with slapstick comedy, and it all just looks like a really fun time. We play as the private investigator Jack Pepper, who is voiced by Troy Baker, and this mouse has a wide arsenal of weapons to use. Previews have seen Tommy guns, shotguns, clubs, and comically over-the-top fisticuffs. Each of these can be upgraded through the game's progression systems, and the gameplay looks fast-paced. There are even featured boss battles to round out the combat experience. Every individual part of this game is fascinating to me, which is driven by the art style, but I'm also interested to see how deep they go with the story mystery. A game that is so visually striking, has fast-paced run-and-gun action, and has a good story is definitely a game I want to invest my time in when Mouse PI for Hire releases on April 16th for PS5, Switch 2, Xbox Series, and PC. Tomodachi Life is a cult classic born of the DS and 3DS eras. It is a social simulation game where you populate an island with your custom-made Mii characters and watch as an eye in the sky as they interact and form relationships, or more comedically, fall out. Miis communicate in a text-to-speech voice, which adds to the dryness of delivery and overall quirk of the game. Tomodachi Life Living the Dream is the new title being released for the Nintendo Switch 2. It continues on its predecessor's wonderful weirdness and expands upon it it by including deeper customization for Mii characters and the island itself, non-binary options for gender preferences, being able to force interactions to see how relationships form, and being able to craft custom items to decorate interiors as well as exteriors. The big draw of this game is making replicas of real-life people, whether they be public-facing figures or just people in your personal life, and watch them hang out in hilarious situations together. Who will date who will become friends, who will become enemies. There is so much fun social experimenting to enjoy in these titles, and it just gets bigger and better when Tomodachi Life Living the Dream joins the franchise on April 16th for the Nintendo Switch 2. Cthulhu: The Cosmic Abyss is a game that looks like it is filled with grotesque sea monsters. It reminds me of Still Wakes the Deep if you played that game a couple of years ago. A slow-paced, first-person, horror-adjacent game where you'll be sneaking around and possibly solving puzzles. The publisher describes it as the following on their website: 2053. Across the globe, the occult threat grows ever more blatant, and strange, incomprehensible events multiply. As the Earth's surface resources dwindle, powerful corporations turn to the uncharted depths of the oceans, unaware of the ancient horror they are about to awaken. In this tense Lovecraftian thriller, you play as Noah, tasked with investigating the mysterious disappearance of miners in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. With the help of your AI companion Key, explore the vast labyrinthian prison of Ryla, an ancient sunken city of cyclopean proportions, and resist the creeping madness caused by Cthulhu's influence. At its core lies a secret that could shatter your understanding of reality. Would you look at that? It has evil corporations, AI, Lovecraftian horror, and a narrative mystery all bundled up in one package. If this looks and sounds like it's for you, then you can dive into Cthulhu: The Cosmic Abyss when it releases on April 16th for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. April has a lot of games I'm interested in playing, and one of the ones that is high on my list is Pragmata. I really enjoyed the demo of this game, and given Capcom's output over the last few years, I'm sure it comes as no surprise to anyone that this is shaping up to be another hit. Pragmata follows the story of spacefarer Hugh, who is sent on a search and rescue mission after the lunar base on the moon goes dark. He gets separated from his crew and is awoken by Diana, an AI in a child's body, who joins him for the adventure. Together they must fight through the robot-infested space station and find the truth about what happened. This game is a third-person action game where Hugh operates the guns, but Diana operates the hacking. Each combat encounter allows you to enter a real-time hacking minigame, which if completed successfully will give you damage bonuses or other special effects against your enemies. It feels really good to play, and I love the weapon variety and special hacking nodes I got to touch in my brief playtime. If you want to see more, then check out my quick look of the game where I dive deeper into the specifics. I definitely recommend you to try this demo out, and if you feel the same as me, then this will also be a day one purchase for you when it drops on April 17th for Xbox Series, PS5, Switch 2, and PC. Let's switch from the moon to an ocean planet and look at Tides of Tomorrow. This title blends the single player and multiplayer experience in quite a unique way. You will play as a Tidewalker, a person trying to survive this dystopian flooded world. Before each run, you can choose a player to follow, whether that be someone you know personally, your favorite streamer, or someone completely random. Throughout your journey, you will discover echoes of this person and what happened to them. Each decision they make affects the world you experience. This is something the developers call a story link. Each story link, which is determined freely by a different player's actions, will provide a specialized narrative experience, whether that be through the environments, NPC interactions, or story paths. This can also be played offline if preferred, as the developers have loaded in several story links themselves. This really is a one-of-a-kind gameplay feature that I can't say I've seen anywhere else. To make it even better, the choices you make on your own run will go on to further influence people who come after you. It creates this constantly changing story, which I am so intrigued to see how complex it can get. I know it's a stacked month, but this one is worth trying just because of its standalone identity. When Tides of Tomorrow drops on April 22nd for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. The creators of Vampire Survivors are back with a brand new game. Vampire Crawlers is set in the same world as Survivors, but is a completely different style of game. The developers describe it as Turbo Wildcard, but what it is for the layman is a deck builder. It is a roguelike dungeon crawler with cards. The cards are stacked in ascending mana order to create combos, and the whole screen looks visually manic at all times. It is advised to play your cards as fast as possible to see the chaos take place. There are deep customization options for your decks, and also the ability to explore dungeons outside of battles to give a more unique experience. The developers have also stated that fans of Survivors will come across familiar aspects like treasure chests, weapon evolutions, unlocking something new after every run, a banger of a soundtrack, and terrible humor. Vampire Crawlers is erupting onto our screens on April 21st for PC, Xbox Series, Switch, and PS5, but there is a demo up now if you want to try it ahead of release. Ever heard of an online multiplayer party pottery brawler? Well, now you have, as Double Fine bring us Kiln. This game is as much about creation as it is about destruction. In the lobby, you will have access to the pottery wheels where you can craft your very own pot in whatever shape and size you desire. You have full creative freedom here, and as you level up through the matchmaking part, you can unlock new cosmetics like handle spouts and studs, or other things like drip colors and stamps. You can even unlock more tools to further refine your pottery making skills. When your pot is created, it will be assigned a subcategory, of which there are several, and this determines its special attack move. In the trailer, we saw a sword swipe, popcorn popping, a pie thrower, amongst some other things. You shouldn't just be thinking about the special attack when it comes to your creation though, you should also keep an eye out on its water carrying capacity and health. These things directly oppose each other but are essential for the combat in the multiplayer mode. Once your pot is made, you can test it in Quench, the matchmaking game mode, where two teams go head to head to douse the other's kiln. Obviously, some pots can carry more water but have low health, whilst others have high health but low carrying capacity, so the roles assume themselves in the battle. The maps look fun and are based on ancient gods like Athena's War Room or Dionysus's Disco, and each one has evolving mechanics to keep you on your toes. Kiln looks like some good party fun, so check it out when it releases on April 23rd for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. The second major expansion for Diablo 4 is also dropping in April. Lord of Hatred seems to be pretty packed content-wise. It features a whole new campaign revolving around Mephisto, a new never-seen-before region called Skovos, skill tree updates, new endgame activities, and 2 new classes. Let me briefly pick apart each aspect here. The story is framed as Finish the Fight, the final battle against Mephisto, which if you played the base game in the first expansion will know is a demon who features heavily. They also hint at return for Lilith. Speaking of Lilith, the new region Skovos is the ancient birthplace of both her and Inarius. We can expect volcanic landscapes, forests, coastal shores, and crumbling temples. It is also currently ruled by the Oracle and the Amazon Queen, which sounds pretty cool. The skill tree enhancements see new skill variants for every class, and level cap increases, and the end game will have a new customization option where you can craft war plans to create your own progression. Finally, the 2 new classes introduced are the Paladin, which is a fan favorite from previous titles, and the Warlock. If you pre-order, you will get the first expansion Vessel of Hatred included, as well as access to play as a paladin from the day of your purchase. Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred releases on April 28th as an expansion to the base game for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. One of the developers I turn to for quality narrative experiences is Dontnod, and they have an upcoming game next month. Aphelion is described as a third-person sci-fi cinematic action title which has a dual protagonist setup. 2 astronauts of the European Space Agency, Ariane and Thomas, are sent on a survey mission to a frozen, uncharted planet Persephone. The aim of the mission is to see if humanity could survive here given that Earth will become uninhabitable in the not too distant future. Crash landing and becoming separated on arrival to Persephone sees Ariane and Thomas fight for survival as they battle their way back to each other. We get to play as both characters over the course of this game's runtime. Ariane is high-stakes parkour gameplay where she utilizes tools to traverse the frigid landscape, whereas Thomas is smaller scope resource and investigative gameplay. There are also stealth sections as there is something on this alien planet that is stalking you and you do not want to get caught. As I said at the top, I can rely on Dontnod to produce a game with a strong narrative, and I have no doubt that this is also the case with Aphelion. I'm sure that Ariane and Thomas will have a deep and complicated relationship that will spark emotion as they desperately try to find each other. If I'm being completely honest, I love a good cry, so I'll be checking out Aphelion when it releases releases on April 28th for Xbox Series, PS5 and PC. Invincible Versus is a 3v3 tag team fighter based on the popular TV show and comics of the same name. This game features everything you would expect, from bloody combat with special character attacks to destructible environments. The blood and gore is quite central to this game, and the brutalities will be something similar to that of Mortal Kombat. The tag team aspect works seamlessly, and you can switch out mid-combo to really get into the meta. The current roster has 16 announced fighters, but there is still the possibility to add more before release. For example, I know that the deluxe pre-order has 4 DLC characters as part of its package. The most important thing about fighting games is seeing how it feels when you're on the sticks, so you can give this a try during its open beta on April 9th through 11th, ahead of its release on April 30th for Xbox Series, PS5 and PC. On the very same day and finishing out the month is the next big PlayStation exclusive title. Saros comes from Returnal developers Housemarque, and it seems to be the same formula. This is a roguelike action game where each run you will come back stronger. When you die, you keep resources so you can unlock permanent progression boosters, whether that be with your weapons or suit upgrades. You can also tweak the difficulty level with modifiers, but everything must be kept in balance to keep a consistent challenge level. I'm not sure what this means currently, but I'm sure it will become more clear as we get hands-on. The third-person combat is fast-paced and looks to contain a wide arsenal of guns. Like most roguelikes, the planet Carcosa, where this game takes place, is constantly shifting and changing, meaning each run will feel different. Unusual for roguelikes though is that Saros will have a teleport function where you can return to the furthest biome you got to, so you can try it again with ease. In my head, this does dull the traditional difficulty of roguelike games, but maybe that is why they have the challenge modifiers as well as something called the Eclipse. This is an in-game event that makes all the enemies and terrain harder to overcome. Saros does seem to lean more heavily on the story aspect too, and there are several NPCs as well as audio and visual logs to discover on your journey to uncover the mystery of this strange planet. Saros is easily going to be one of the biggest game releases this month when it releases on April 30th for PS5. That's all the games in April I think you should keep your eye on. There were 13 titles here, which should be more than enough to keep you busy, but as I said at the top, this isn't everything releasing in the month. If somehow nothing here was for you, then don't fear, as maybe Starfield coming to PS5 or Skyrim and Fallout 4 coming to the Switch 2 will interest you. There are also many other indie games I didn't touch upon, so go give them a look too. Check the channel for reviews, spoiler casts and quick looks amongst other things, and of course I'll see you in a month for the games of May. The next couple of weeks will see an Echo Generation 2 quick look as well as a review for Life is Strange Reunion. Let me know in the comments below what your most anticipated game is for April, or just anything that I didn't mention that you want to make others aware of, and for everything else, casual gamer, keep it here. Peace and love.